Home isn't just a place, it's a feeling. Whether you're at home, your business, or online, ADT helps keep you safe. With security systems, home automation, alarms, and surveillance, so you can feel at home wherever you are. Go to ADT.com to get that feeling. ADT, home, safe home.
By the way, as we move into hour number 3 on Mike and Mike, or Golic and Wingo, on ESPN Radio and ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance, and all phone guests appear on the Shell Pennzoil Performance line, you could take that line, "The world is off its rocker," and apply it to many different scenarios. We're just using it for this list, just so we know.
For the list, the UK 2,000 people surveyed golf as the most boring game in the world. We've turned it into a bobblehead giveaway.
Because why wouldn't we?
Yeah, rip golf or defend golf. The best tweet, either side wins. Right now, I have a leader in the Texang, whatever, is in the leader in the clubhouse on my side. When my daughter was 2, she would request to have golf on television so she could take a nap.
So you're basing your entire premise on a 2-year-old.
Sure.
Think I've already won. Think I've already won as Joey Galloway joins us. And I must respond now that you have thrown out the 2-year-old. William Warwick, close to William Wallace, which would have been great.
Frida!
Any game that spawned John Daly, Happy Gilmore, and Caddyshack cannot be most boring. Hashtag Team Trey, final argument, even Golic loves golf.
You do realize only one of those 3 things is actually real.
Hey, I got a question for you. Who's been the most dominant, interesting athlete over the last 25 years? Tiger Woods. Pen drop. We move on.
Joey Galloway, you have recently taken up golf. Yeah. You love golf. You can't get enough golf. What do you think of this list where golf is at the top of the list of the most boring game in the world?
I play golf every single day that I am not working, and I've been doing that
Standing
for
O.
the past couple.
Standing O for Joe.
But at the same time, though, it is boring. It is.
There you go.
But I mean, I love sitting on my couch and watching TV. Like, people ask, like, what do you like to do? I like to work out, sit on my couch, watch TV, and golf.
Yeah.
And so I'm a boring person. I absolutely love golf, but, I mean.
But you're boring.
It was the last sport I could watch on TV.
Yeah, but you watch it now, right?
I watch it. I watch it now. I watch it now.
Yeah, because
for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, I went my entire life, like 27 years of not being able to watch golf at all in the past 2 years since I started playing. Now
that's all you do.
Now
You're hooked.
Watch. Yeah, if it's on, I'm watching.
There you go. See, he started on your side, and then he evolved.
He did the most.
Evolved.
I didn't think we wanted politics in sports, Joe. He just jumped on both sides.
No, it's not politics. That's just understanding. You know, when you're 2, you're on your side. When you're an adult, you're on my side.
I matured into golf.
There it is.
Like I just matured.
Winning. And by the way, I think we have the greatest tweet of all time.
This is a good one. This is going to be tough.
This is the new clubhouse leader for both of us.
For both of us.
You want to read it?
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Ryan tweets in at Mike and Mike.
Yeah.
Golf puts my girlfriend to sleep, and I don't have to talk about feelings. Best sport ever. Hashtag Team Trey and hashtag Team Golic. That's awesome.
Listen,
that is awesome.
There's no way he's not getting a bobblehead.
I don't have to talk about feelings.
There's no way he's not getting a bobblehead.
Anytime a guy can say, I don't have to talk about my feelings, that's usually a win for the male gender, is it not?
That's a win for everybody.
Yeah.
Because the other thing about that is when people say, tell me about your feelings, and then you tell them, then that sparks 5 different conversations that you don't want to have. So you don't even want to hear our feelings.
And then you tell them.
Honest about it.
I was lost at tell me about your feelings. You went to, and then you tell them.
The only thing worse
I'm back on Team Golic.
The only thing worse
then you tell them
than a woman asking a guy, tell me about your feelings would be, the only line worse is, how do I look in this dress?
Yeah.
I thought you were about to say the only thing worse.
Fantastic.
I think you say the only thing worse is then the guy actually tells them about their feelings.
About their feelings? If you actually answered the question.
Exactly.
Well, there's only one answer to that. You look great. What about this one? You look great. What about this one? You know you look great in anything.
My wife, I say things to my wife now that I actually mean, and she goes, I can't ask you anything. What else are you going to say? I'm like, I'm trying to tell you, I really do mean this, but you won't believe me. Somebody else will say something nice about her, and she'll be like, oh, that's really nice. I'm like, I said the same thing. She said, but you're my husband. You have to say that.
Exactly. So stop asking me. Right? What do you think about this? Well, I think it looks great. Well, how do you feel about this one? Well, I just told you I like that one, so why are you asking me about this one?
Right.
And then I have to say you like that one, too, because then you there's no win. There's no win.
Well,
it's like you in this bobblehead debate. There's
no,
win.
I'm going to win. And
Joey's
Stanzik
involved from my
actually
side.
wrote something very nice up there, a great segue about feelings. Joey, tell us your feelings about USC tonight.
Oh, Stanzik is finally producing content. Well done. Well done.
USC, Washington State, both undefeated. Washington State, though, can't beat anybody, or USC especially, and they're struggling at home as well against USC. How do you see this one going?
USC has played in close games this season, and it just seems like they're not going to be a team that puts people away. We expected to see a different USC team coming into this season after the 9 games last season, after the Rose Bowl. We expected to see a USC team that looked like a top 4, blow people out of the water type team. And so Western Michigan hangs with them in the first week, and then Texas takes them to double overtime. I think that Washington State, and if you talk about Western Michigan, Texas, and then Washington State, I think Washington State's a better football team than both of those teams that took them to the wire. And so I'm going with Washington State tonight.
You are.
I think that they do enough interesting things with their offensive line and moving and running the football enough to give Luke Falk time to throw the football, and then a lot of slanting and shifting up front. I think they'll be just enough to beat USC in a close game.
Well, it's funny. You mentioned Luke Falk, and a lot of people are talking about him, but he doesn't get the same conversation as the Joshes and Sam Darnold, and obviously Lamar Jackson for different reasons. But this kid can play.
He really can. And sometimes when we like an offense, we take away the credit from the player who's operating the offense. And because Mike Leach has always been notorious for having this terrific passing game, then we will ignore Luke Falk's 5 or 6 touchdowns in a game because we just assume whoever's playing quarterback could do that. But he's a very talented quarterback, and I'm looking forward to this matchup.
The numbers are so against Washington State. USC has won 9 of the last 10 meetings overall, won the last 5 straight trips to Pullman in this. The Cougars have they're looking to do something they haven't done before, beat a top 5 Trojan team. They're 0-12 in such games and have been outscored by an average of 25 points per game. So you going with the upset tonight?
The streak has to end.
Yes, it does.
You know what? When Kentucky played Florida and Florida won 30 straight, I went Kentucky. Yeah. Eventually, the streak has to end. I mean, you got to keep picking
the Cubs
the loser
are living
until
proof of that.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly right.
It maybe go through 2 or 3 generations, but eventually it ends. Okay, so that's one interesting game. They got second-ranked Clemson traveling to Virginia Tech. That's Saturday on ABC. This game could be interesting as well.
It will be interesting. I think that in you sort of forget that Virginia Tech was a team that played within 7 points of Clemson in the ACC championship game last year. And so when you play these types of games, and we're going down to Virginia Tech for this game, it is interesting that you have a team in Clemson who has surprised people, that Kelly Bryant has stepped right in and looked like Deshaun Watson for the first few games of the season, except last game against Boston College. He looked a little bit more human. The 2 interceptions, he fumbled the ball, didn't throw any touchdowns. And then here's a Virginia Tech team where, Bud Foster is going to bring these exotic-looking defenses. One of the few defensive coordinators that you look forward to talking to, you look forward to watching what he does on film. And Josh Jackson is the other quarterback for Virginia Tech, who's having a pretty good season. He has not seen a defense like Clemson. And so the chess game and watching what Virginia Tech does in their biggest game of the season, where everybody will be watching, will be interesting to me.
What teams are we not talking about in your mind that are surprising and making and doing things that you didn't think maybe they could do and may end up, one of the top 4 at the end?
Georgia is a team that you sort of hedge on Georgia. They're always talented, but for some reason they couldn't quite turn the corner. And this season they look different.
Boy, they turned the corner on Mississippi State.
Yeah, they look different. And so we watched Mississippi State go and beat LSU in a physical – and you don't see LSU just get physically beat up, you know what I mean? Yep. And Mississippi State does it. And then Mississippi State goes and plays Georgia. And Georgia out-physicals Mississippi State. Okay, so now Georgia jumps on the scene, and here's a team that – we talk about is there anybody in the East? And then the conversation has turned into, is there anybody in the SEC besides Alabama? Well, it was starting to look like, okay, who is in the SEC? And now here comes Georgia. And I'm hoping just for the sake of football that Georgia continues to play well, and then at least for the SEC championship game, we'll have a great matchup.
Well, look, let's move on to University of Texas. They got off to that horrible start when they lost to Maryland. Then they find a way to beat Iowa State last night to level their record at 2-2. Is this place finally is this program finally in a place now where Tom Herman can get it going forward?
He hopes so, and it looks that way. But you know how football works.
Yeah.
I mean, you could look great for a week or two and then go back to looking like you did against Maryland. So you come out the first week of the season against a Maryland team, which is a mid to bottom range Big Ten team, and you get blown out.
I mean, blown out.
Yeah, and not only do you get blown out, but you look really bad while you do it. And this, I guess, the same holes, the same issues that you saw in the past couple of years at Texas showed up against Maryland. And so all of a sudden people are like, okay, wait a minute, did he fix anything? And then they win a cupcake game, and then they go to 2 overtimes against USC. So now everyone's saying, is this it? Is this that moment when people buy in? You know, when a coach takes over a program and he talks about players buying in, well, some guys just buy in. Other guys need to, have proof that what you're teaching us is right, before they really buy in. So they go against USC and they really have a good game. Now can they build on that? Last night they get another win. It looks like Texas has at least turned that corner to start heading in the right direction, and we'll see.
Saquon Barkley. I mean, everybody talking about him after last week. I'm not going to ask you to compare him to the last running back you saw this. That's what everybody always wants to do. What does he remind you of in college? Who does he remind you of in the NFL right now?
Right.
Just talk Saquon Barkley and what he is bringing to this Penn State team and how far they can go with it.
I thought he was a really good running back before last week's game. And then watching last week's game took him to another level. Watching him basically take his team on his back and refuse to go down in some situations. And you always hear people talk about bad tackling. And I always say, some guys are hard to tackle. Mm-hmm. Like some guys are just better than the people that are trying to tackle them. And that's what he was. And the play where he jumped in the air, got hit in the air. Now, it's hard enough to jump over a guy.
That was a perfect
and land on
hurdle
your feet,
split, by the way.
And you know what I mean? And keep running. He jumped in the air and got hit while in the air and landed on his feet and kept running. Those are the kind of things that separate a guy and take him to another level, because you don't see that type of thing on a daily basis. He's a special running back.
Well, it is interesting, right? 3 years ago, the conversation was, man, running backs are done. It's just, we'll get a guy and we'll do that. Then you have Zeke Elliott come in and do what he did. Then you have obviously Todd Gurley before him do that. People are having high hopes for Christian McCaffrey. Dalvin Cook has now come in and done through 3 games. He's on better pace than Adrian Peterson was.
I think one of the best things we're seeing is we talk about him as a running back, but now as we look going to the next level, they're starting to throw Gurley the ball. Now, certainly they didn't ask to do that a lot at Georgia. He wasn't asked to do that a lot at Georgia, just like Fournette wasn't asked to do that a lot at LSU, but they're going to have to do that. You see that now with Saquon. And it's not Penn State saying, hey, let's up his value to the NFL. They're saying, hey, let's get the ball in the hands of our best player. The last 2 years, he averaged 2 receptions a game. This year, he's averaging 6 receptions a game. To me, that's the turning point right now, Joey, of that running back, when you can add that element to the game.
Yeah, and you can get him away from the line. You know what I mean? You can get him away from all the noise and all the bodies flying around if you get the ball out wide. And I love the idea, and I watch Penn State do it. When a team blitzes, your running back, a lot of people use him to block, stay in and give your quarterback time. Well, in these blitz looks, your running back is covered by a linebacker. Mm-hmm. So why not find a way to quickly get him the ball? Don't use him to block. Here's one of your best athletes going man-to-man against a linebacker that has to locate him through all of the confusion. So leak him out. Send him to the flat or downfield, and Penn State does it as well as anyone, and then get him the ball. And let's just see if your linebacker can come across this line of scrimmage and, number one, locate Saquon Barkley, but then make a tackle.
Yeah, I mean, and he leads the Big Ten in both receptions and receiving yards as a running back. I mean, we're seeing a very dynamic dual threat. I got to ask you, this is the first time you've been on the show since you did Central Florida Temple?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there was that picture of the three
USF,
of you.
I'm sorry.
USF, yeah. There was that picture of the 3 of you in the booth, and a lot of people were like, is Joey Galloway wearing pants? What was going on there?
And did you have pants on?
I like to be comfortable.
Yeah, okay.
And you go call a game in Florida, and it is hot in the booth.
Yeah.
And so we get into a conversation in the second half, and I said Quentin Flowers should keep throwing the ball, even though they're blowing him out. He needs to get work. And Booger's saying, hey, man, you got to worry about optics, the optics of the game. And I'm like, I'm standing here with no pants on and my shirt out.
Untucked,
I care about optics.
So you really
now.
had no pants on?
Are you leaving it to the imagination?
Yeah. Of course I am. You just leave that out there.
I'm going to move on from that.
Please ask a question because I need to.
By the way, I agree with you. I'm not worried about optics in that situation.
We can see that from your face.
So, well, there you go. What's going on in college basketball now with the FBI jumping in with the assistant coaches arrested? A lot of people think that's going to bleed over into football. To think this isn't happening at football, I think, would be a naive thought, at least to some. Well, we understand money changing hands has been going on for a long time. Your thoughts of this, ranging from why is the FBI worried about this to just how much this may blow up some college sports and what's going on?
I think it's going to blow up a lot bigger than it is now. If I was some of these coaches who were not cheating. Now, for years, it has been well known that there is cheating in basketball.
Right.
And I believe there's cheating in all sports. But the basketball side of it, it has been well known for years that there's a lot of cheating that goes on in basketball. So if I'm one of these coaches that doesn't cheat, I would have been calling the FBI, the CIA, the NCAA.
You'd have been snitching.
Oh yeah. It
would be interesting if that's what got this started.
This is your livelihood. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you're not just some fan sitting in the stand. This is your livelihood. And so, if getting the 5-star player is someone's getting that guy because they're cheating, then absolutely. If I was one of the guys not cheating, then I'd have kicked in the door with the FBI like, hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Something is fishy here because me and this school were recruiting
close.
This guy, and all of a sudden, through the grapevine, I hear that this guy would like to get some money, and then the next day, this guy signs with that school.
Well, it's interesting. There was a great line from Lou Holtz when he was the Arkansas head coach in the 30 for 30, the Pony Excess about SMU, and was talking about recruiting back in the day in Texas, which was crazy. And he had this recruit that was all set to go to Arkansas, and the day of signing, he called him up and said, "I'm going to Texas A&M." And he said, "You've never even been to the Texas A&M campus. Why are you going to Texas A&M?" And the recruit says, "I just feel I'd be more comfortable there." To your point. By the way, if it was a former coach or a current coach that got this whole thing started, boy,
that would be something.
Would that be interesting? Yeah. And we don't know if we'll ever find that out. But speaking of coaches, our producer, Daniel Stanczyk, is one of the best.
Well.
In my ear, he says, Joey went to Ohio State.
You did?
And Urban Meyer is the current Ohio State head coach.
No way.
Thanks, Stanczyk. He actually had a very interesting comment, not on the FBI stuff, but just breaking NCAA rules. Let's listen.
I always believed if you willful and intentionally violate our law or rule or you lie to the NCAA, you can never coach again. And I to this day, I still believe that. I'm not talking about the mistakes made that you have a rule book like this, but if you intentionally pay a guy money or if you intentionally willfully have a second cell phone that you're using illegal phone calls, you're done. You can never, ever coach again. It's no different than a student athlete. If a student athlete lies to the NCAA, they're finished. So you're telling me a 50-year-old man's got more rights than a 18-year-old student athlete? Who comes up with that? If you intentionally lie about committing violations, your career's over. You don't suspend it for 2 games. You can't. Some of the silly penalties you have. You can't talk to recruit for a week and a half or something like that. No, you're finished.
Wow. I mean, that's a one and done thing there, huh?
Yeah. Well, what is interesting too, because one of the best things about that thing is he's saying, as a 50-year-old head coach, I'm no different than the 18-year-old recruit. I mean, we should be held to the same standard, right? Yet sometimes that isn't the case when you talk about a coach leaving and a player can't leave.
Yeah, I think we quite honestly, we should talk about that the coach should be at a higher position than the player and show more of an example to the player. Do you agree with what Urban said? And again, he said you get caught giving money, you get caught knowingly breaking these rules,
you're done.
You can work again. You just can't work as a coach again.
I just don't know how you could prove it. And if you could, because just like all these coaches that they're about to go down in this basketball thing, they're going to act like they didn't know. Like,
right.
I didn't know that this guy was getting paid just because he had a new car and he had all new clothes and his family moved to campus and they bought a house when they didn't have one before. Hey, I didn't know, and we've all seen situations.
Yeah, oh yeah,
yeah. If
those air quotes
played,
situations?
yeah. If you've played, you've been around long enough. You played college ball. We've all seen someone pull into the parking lot with a new car, and so the coach could say, I had no idea where that car came from. I mean, he didn't have money when he got here, but somehow he found
deniability.
it.
But now some of these coaches that are caught on tape, the wiretapping of these assistant coaches,
will be hard to get around that one.
Yeah, they're going to have a hard time.
Yeah, getting back to that point, like I was in the Southwest Conference, not playing, but I was attending when SMU was at its heyday, okay? And you went up to the SMU, like, athletic parking lot, Porsche, BMW, Mercedes. I mean, they were not hiding at all.
I think those cars were just a lot cheaper.
The coach had no idea, though. The coach didn't park in that lot. He didn't know.
He was in another place.
Yeah, I have somebody else. I have someone else who knows that.
Yeah. So, look, it's going to be interesting to see how this thing unravels. Joey, we appreciate you
Joey.
unraveling this and the mystery of whether or not you wear pants. Joey Galloway and the pro golf team, by the way, which is more important.
I don't know if he is.
He is.
Home isn't just a place, it's a feeling that you're safe to enjoy the things that matter most. ADT lets you take that feeling with you. Whether you're at home, your business, or online, we help keep you safe. With security systems, home automation, alarms, and surveillance, so you can feel at home wherever you are. Go to ADT.com to get that feeling for less than $1 a day. ADT. Home, safe home.
Okay, Kevin, for the grand prize of $1 million. What color is the White House?
I know this.
5 seconds.
Oh, switching to Geico could save you a bunch of money on car insurance?
Okay. Judges? That's true, Kevin. They'll allow it. Congratulations. You're a winner.
Woo!
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
We roll on. Golic and Wingo, Mike and Mike, presented by Progressive Insurance on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. And all phone guests will be on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. We'll have Brian Billick coming up in the next hour to talk about all things NFL, including is it time to put in Mitchell Trubisky? And
exactly. A lot to talk about from the game last night, the hit by Danny Trevathan. We have our poll, or not our poll, but the up there about pro golf or not, or con golf. Would that be it? Con golf?
No, that's the convicts playing golf.
Pro or against
There
golf?
it is. We're getting there. Use
your
words. Use your words.
In this survey. See, you're just doing this because you're mad that 2,000 people in the UK surveyed said golf is the most boring game in the world.
I'm now doing this.
Right.
I'm now doing this to watch you butcher your mother tongue.
I've done that many a time.
And it's a career builder.
It's not
going
to change.
No, I know.
What's already changed is the mess that you have in front of you, as opposed to at least Greeny's a lot cleaner than this.
Well, by the way, Greeny should never come back. He doesn't know the things I do to these things when I'm in here.
Lord.
He'll probably come in with those black lights.
Yeah.
What is this? What's happening here? All right. So, by the way, to the point you were trying to make, do you think golf is boring or not boring? Rafael J. Gomez III, by the way, tremendous name.
Like that?
How can a sports with duels like Tiger Sergio or Mickelson Stenson at the Open be called boring? Team Trey, edge of your seat television.
Tiger Sergio,
Rafael.
When did that happen?
The PGA, 1999.
Oh! So we're only going. How many years are we going back? Are you serious?
There are many other examples. He just meant Mickelson Stenson last year.
He named one that went to 1999,
and then he also brought up one from
that were a little more current than that.
Did you not hear the words Mickelson Stenson, which was last year?
So he mentioned,
how about Spieth down the stretch this year at the Open?
No, that's you mentioning that. Yeah. This is what Rafael J. Gomez III mentioned. He gave two examples, one current, the other back in 1999.
So in other words, he had the gamut covered.
My case.
So in other words,
golf is boring.
The point he just made is this has been happening for a long time. Thank you for bringing that up.
No.
We've got history and we've got current examples. It's so easy.
No.
It's like taking candy from a baby.
This from Levi. Golf is so boring, the announcers have to whisper so they don't wake up the viewers at home. Oh, yeah! Well played.
That actually was pretty good.
Well played. That was a good one.
That was well played. All right, you know what we need to do? We need to move on.
Yeah, we do.
You ready?
Yeah.
We're going to play Love It or Shove It.
Yes,
brought to you by Grainger. Here we go.
It's time for another edition of Love It,
Oh, this is fun.
or Shove It.
with Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio.
Okay.
All right,
ready?
Bubba's here
Bubba's
for Lover
here?
to Shove It, and Bubba is
What's up,
in
guys?
now,
What's up, Bubba?
the thing about
Hello.
this, Trey, that you'll get used to is Bubba does this, and Bubba ends up in different places around the country or around the world to do this segment. And right now, it looks like he's close to home. He has a coat and tie on, and he's in the studios, the NFL
Looking
studio.
good.
NFL Studio W, by the way.
Why
Yeah,
are
W.
you dressed in coat and tie and in that studio?
Well, you may have heard, Trey's changed up some roles here, and so he may not be doing NFL Live as much as he had been. So I heard there's an opening, and I'm throwing my hat in the ring. So I'm going to be hosting today.
So you're hosting NFL Live today.
Oh, Bubba, that's so cute. That's so cute.
I'm going to be hosting today.
Yeah.
How hard can it be?
That's my thought exactly.
That's what I say every time I sit in this chair.
Yeah. Whoa.
So how hard can it be?
I think, Bubba, you've touched a nerve on him.
It's all good. Bubba,
Yeah.
I wish you nothing but the best, but I think you might want to talk to some. I'll give you their extensions. They may have a different idea for you. I'm just going to throw that out there. So be prepared. Just be prepared.
Can you be a little more specific?
Yeah, you're not doing the show. You're not doing the
Why
show.
would you crush the man's dreams?
I'm just being a realist.
Oh, that's
An audition
awful.
today,
All right, go for
Good
it.
for you. All right, what do we got, Bubba?
What do you got?
Mitchell Trubisky will start the Bears' next game. Love it or shove it.
I think I love it. Again, the one part of this none of us know is what he's doing in practice, what he's doing in film, how he's breaking down tape with the coaches, how all of that's going. If the coaches all feel that he is ready to step on the field in a regular season game without much trepidation on their part outside of normal rookie things, Trey, I think this will be the time. I think with the extended
Mini
time
bye.
they have now, mini bye, right? If they feel he's ready to go and can be competent out there and making the line calls and recognizing what's happening, I think he's going to be the starter.
Well, I think I love it too. And what you just said, I think, is the most telling thing. Is he understanding the film? Is he understanding what's breaking down? When coaches ask him questions, can he give them the right answer? Because I'm sure Mike Glennon is doing all that too, and we're not seeing that translate into the field. And as Herm Edwards said, and you quote him, I know I can have turnovers with my rookie.
Right.
I need the veteran to not do that. And again, one of them may have been not his fault because it came off his shin. But again, if he wasn't 13 feet tall, it might not have bounced off
It's a
his
man's
shin.
fault for being tall.
Sometimes you're just too tall.
Wow.
In fact, you can look this up. There's never been a really good quarterback over
did
a
look this
certain
up one
height,
time.
right?
Yeah,
It's
we did, yeah.
So I'm not saying it's Mike Glennon's fault for being tall, but
right.
sometimes that
His
is a
parents'
fault.
fault.
Yeah,
His parents'
genetics
fault.
went against you, man.
There you go.
So I think I love that. I love it too. All right, what's next, Bubba? Are you different somewhere now? Or are you staying in the same spot?
It looks like he's
I'm
really
hosting
you know what?
NFL Live. Where do you want me to go? Are you not
Do you
familiar
really
with Studio
want,
W?
Do you really want me to answer that question?
A Cavs team with LeBron, Paul George, and Carmelo would have been a legitimate threat to the Warriors. Love it or shove it.
Oh, well, I shoved that. I still don't think they would have beaten the Warriors. And actually, this is Carmelo talking. Actually, it was funny because me and Paul George was supposed to be in Cleveland on draft night. We were communicating about that. The deal was actually done. It got called off on draft night, so me and PG stayed connected throughout the course of the offseason. We never even talked about Oklahoma City, though, where they are now.
So he said that on Sirius XM, by the way.
I don't know.
So hold on. Let's hear. We'll read this correctly. He thought that he and Paul George were going to Cleveland?
Yeah, so there was a lot of thought that Paul George was going to get traded to Cleveland.
Yes, I knew that
And
part.
then once Carmelo got bought out, everybody thought eventually he would get bought out. He would end up in Cleveland as well. So the question, do you think that would have been enough to beat Golden State? I don't, because the team would have been different then. We have all the players that are on the team now. You have to change that up. I still say no. They would not have had enough to beat Golden State.
Well, I'm going to say I love that idea. I'm going to love it because if they had been able to close out Game 3 when they had that huge lead, series might have been completely different.
Right.
And if they have these guys, they probably would have been able to close
these guys.
out
Is
Game
Kyrie
3.
still off the team? Has he still been
That's an
traded?
excellent question.
That's one of the things we
Is
don't
the Earth
know
still
here.
flat? I'm not sure.
Well, that's a good question.
But I do firmly believe though that was the rift that broke up Kyrie and LeBron.
Bubba, is the world flat?
Is the world flat, you say?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Okay, see, I think that was the one thing that LeBron
Rounded.
and Kyrie couldn't get past.
Couldn't get past.
They tried to work through it. As LeBron said, I tried to help the kid. It just wasn't working. And I think that was the one. All right, what's next, Bubba?
The NBA's lottery reform will lead to a noticeable decrease in tanking. love it or shove it.
I mean,
I think we made our positions pretty clear.
We have already made our position.
Shoving it.
Shove it. So, again, number 1, number 2, number 3, there were different percentages of if you get the top pick, obviously being the worst team, you'd have the best percentage. Now, the rule is all 3 will have a 14% chance of getting the number 1 pick, to which I think that's just going to increase the 5th or 6th worst team in the league to now knowing they couldn't get down to number 1 worst to have the best shot. All they have to do is get to the 3rd worst, and they have an equal shot with 2 and 1. So I think you could actually get more teams tanking by the end of the season to get into that spot.
Totally agree, and I think the best way to start this up for Love It or Shove It is to quote Loverboy, but saying we're shoving every minute of it.
Shoving every minute of it.
What's next?
Giancarlo Stanton should be the NL MVP. Love it or shove it?
Hembo, you think Arenado, right?
I think Nolan Arenado from the Rockies is likely to win the award. His team's going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, that always becomes a question. Can
Are you the best team on a team that makes it the playoff, or are you really the best player?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's the argument.
The age-old question here.
Yeah.
So
how many would the Marlins win if he wasn't on the team? If you're going back to the definition of value.
Right. That's always what comes up. Are you using actual value to the team? Because you can take a lot of players off the better teams, and they're not going to be as good.
I'm going to say I love it. I love the idea of Stanton being the MVP.
I would love him to, but I'm going to shove it. I think Arenado is going to be the MVP.
All right, we move on. What do you got?
Dark horse candidate, Cespedes. Golf.
We didn't ask you for a dark horse candidate.
But he always gives
All right, go ahead.
No, that's what you do as an NFL. You ad-lib when you host.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Well done.
There you go.
Well done. Well done.
Golf is the most boring sport
Shove
in
it.
the world.
Shove it.
Love
Shoving.
it.
Shoving.
Oh, I know you are.
Shoving.
Again, the UK, 2,000
Shoving.
people there were polled, and they said golf is the most boring game in the world of the top 30 most boring games. I love it. I think they're right.
Shove. They're just mad that the Scots invented it, and Britain and Scotland have never gotten along.
That's it.
See Braveheart.
You think that's the reason?
History's with me. History's with me.
That's
Freedom.
true. We
Freedom.
don't need history books when you have a movie like Braveheart.
Correct.
Yeah.
And by the way, it was a film about Scotland shot in Ireland.
Well, there you go.
There you go. Add that one to the mix.
All right, we got one more?
You may be surprised to know this, but I'm actually a pretty good golfer.
I am surprised to know
I
that.
am shocked to hear
They don't
that.
call me Par Peregrine for nothing. So
Do they call you Par Peregrine?
some do, yeah.
Okay. What's your handicap?
It's around.
There it is.
Yeah.
See, you can't be a good golfer if you don't know what your handicap
I just don't want to make you feel bad. Well,
There
just
you
tee
go.
it up one day. The three of us head on over to Avon, do some things. A couple
Sure.
Avon boys hanging out.
Why not?
The only person worse at taking a selfie than Phil Mickelson is Trey Wingo. Love it or shove it.
I'm shoving that.
How about that selfie, though, with Phil and the three presidents?
It was something.
Did you not like it?
Now, look at that. That's me and Fitz on the field at the Hall of Fame.
What is with your face? What are you doing? I get accused like that from my kids that I don't have the right facial expression in a selfie. I don't know what's going on there.
For those of you that aren't watching on television, it's me and Larry Fitzgerald on the field before the Hall of Fame game to start the season. And I'm wearing Maui Jim sunglasses, and I can't see, so I have to look under the Maui Jims and see the camera to make sure I'm lined up correct.
But does that mean your mouth has to look like you're frowning?
Oh, no, but see, I was also in that you didn't see the pointed fingers. I was like, we're good. So I had to get it all in context.
Larry Fitzgerald is sitting there smiling, as good-looking as he always is.
Absolutely.
And you look like
me.
A creature.
I look like me.
All right.
That's all I got.
Bubba, good luck today. I think you can do it. I don't think it takes much to host that show, so I think you're in good shape.
Absolutely. Here's my open, right?
Yeah.
Welcome to NFL Live, everybody. I'm Bubba. I'm joined by Adam Schefter and Field Yates. Let's talk football.
How was that?
It was awful.
Was it?
Yeah. It was horrendous.
I remember you saying
I'd like to see you try it.
What?
Yeah.
No, that was really bad. No, it was actually fun.
Yeah, I don't even have a prompter.
Yeah.
That was off the top of my head.
Well,
I don't even know for sure that Adam and Field are here.
I'm pretty sure Adam is always here.
Louis Riddick jumped in. Hey, Lou. Sweet Lou. Welcome to NFL Live. I'm your host, Bubba.
Is that the question you ask him, Sweet Lou? That's the question?
Bubba, I'm excited for you.
I can also host a golf show, Par Peregrine. I'm your host, Par Peregrine.
You're just the host.
Right? Oh, Michael Collins. Welcome to Par Peregrine's podcast. How are you?
We went Par Peregrine's podcast.
Perfect.
Triple P.
You're doing a nice job, Bubba.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, we're done with you.
He's certainly doing
You
something.
watching, Skipper?
Okay. Okay. And we'd like to thank Bubba for his participation at the ESPN family of networks
awesome.
and wish him all the best.
You too, Iger.
Awesome.
Oh, what? Just throw Iger. Listen, is there anybody else you want to help in your self-immolation?
As long as those
Can we
two are
throw you an
watching,
accelerant to put on this trash fire?
You're right. As long as those two are watching, you're in good shape.
Yeah, I think
you're safe with them.
Hey, the Hasselbacks. How are you? Take a seat. Welcome to NFL Live. Yeah, Trey doesn't do it anymore. No.
Actually, not until after the Super Bowl, but then you got a chance.
Oh, well, this is just a sneak peek.
We believe in sneak peeks.
Done.
You know what? Standing up.
Bubba.
Standing
well
up.
done. Yeah.
Standing up for Bubba.
Good job.
All right, Nick,
All
get
right.
the hell out of here.
In this poll of the top 30 most boring games in the world, we say golf is number one. Again,
No, they say.
they say soccer is number 10.
In the UK, how can you say
I
soccer's
know.
in the top 10?
These people are just being honest.
Devalues the list.
No, it doesn't. Number 16 is American football. Number 30
Devaluing
is
the list.
diving and everything in between. Number 2 on this was cricket.
Yeah.
And the explanation in it was that people just don't understand it.
Because it takes 4 days to play.
It takes days to play, and so we're talking about that this morning, right?
Yes.
So I had to make a little bathroom run here in the break, and I went well, thanks.
Good.
I walked by one of the 10,000 TVs here at ESPN.
Yes, somebody's watching cricket.
Yes.
I saw that as I went to the bathroom the last
played.
time. But it is. We should do a deep dive on cricket at some point. Not today.
No.
At some point we should, because I don't even understand how you score the game when it's 1,500 to 42 under 75 over 68 times 3.
I'm with
minus
you.
4 Satchel Paige pi radical 22.
I'm with you.
I don't understand it at all.
But every time I see it on, I'm somewhat mesmerized by it, and I watch it for a while, and then I just can't watch it anymore because, again, I don't get it.
It takes a week to play a game.
Yeah.
And you really need an abacus and a calculator to score the game. I don't understand it at all.
Do you know how many players are on the field at each time?
10.
11. Close. Good job.
Right. The other thing is you see a lot of, how do I say this delicately, a lot of twigs and berry shots in cricket.
Hey-o!
I mean, some guys, the bowler throws it in there and the catcher misses it sometimes, and then that bat is nice and thick and flat, and he smacks it, and sometimes it goes right into the uncupped region.
Okay.
I mean, it is. I'll give him a toughness quotient.
Well, I'll do that.
Yeah.
A lot of tweets again, Team Trey or Team Golic on is golf boring or is it not? You're going for bobbleheads here. Nate says it's only boring if you don't appreciate mental toughness and the ability to adapt to a new course every week.
There you go. Like that.
These guys golf the same courses year in and year out.
Yeah, but it's a different course depending on the weather and where you put the pin placement. Team Trey, says Joey, a tradition unlike any other. Hashtag the Masters. Hashtag Wingos.
Golf is the most boring sport because there's no trash talking or heckling.
Did you not watch the Ryder Cup last year?
And
did you not watch the Ryder Cup match?
You've been to Phoenix on which hole is it
exactly,
in Phoenix?
It's 16th.
I love that.
There's
awesome.
There's a lot of swing oil on that hole.
Yeah, there is.
There's a lot.
We got another hour.
We do.
Yeah.
Amazingly.
And Brian
letting
Billick's
us do
in
it.
it.
Brian Billick will join us. Sports.